We are learning some information about the younger years of the suspect, some rocky disturbances. According to reports citing court documents, the 20-year-old had endured a bitter custody battle between his biological parents when he was a child, including the arrest of his mother on kidnapping charges after she took him to Norway 10 years ago without his father's permission and then brought him back a few months later. Obviously, a massive tragedy, and more questions about the motive remain at this hour. Pleased to bring in right now Florida Congressman Greg Steube. He's a member of the House Ways and Means Committee as well as the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman Steube, a pleasure to have you. You know, this is a tragedy. There's also big questions about the motive. We were all kind of shocked, too, that this would be the stepmother, you know, as a deputy. What was your takeaway when we learned that fact, and obviously how close to home it hit Leon County sheriffs yesterday?
Yeah, it's obviously very disturbing, and we've prayed for the victims' families. We obviously don't know who those people are yet, but what a tragedy for them to have to experience. And we know that we can't prevent evil in this world, but we need to do things in order to prevent these type of things from happening. I want to thank the law enforcement for a very quick reaction. But for years and years and years, I sponsored legislation when I was in the State House and State Senate to allow concealed carry on university campuses. And time again, we have seen these lone gun shooters go after gun-free zones. Time and time again, this has happened. It's like the statistics are like 80%. These people target gun-free zones, and Americans, law-abiding citizens, should be able to defend themselves. And we'll never know if somebody would have been there to be able to defend very quickly from this. But obviously, I want to thank law enforcement. We are praying for the victims' families. This is a type of evil that we should never have to deal with here in the United States.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if maybe that gets more traction, what you have sponsored before, because that's a really important point here. And so many people who are trained in firearms are able to enter a situation, deduce it quickly, and who knows what would have happened if that was the case yesterday. Sadly, it's not. And sadly, of course, it brings up the conversation about guns again on the left. President Trump was very clear. Here are his words yesterday. I want to play this and get your reaction on the Second Amendment and people's right under the Constitution to carry.
Look, I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I have been from the beginning. I protected it. And these things are terrible. But the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. It's, you know, a phrase that's used probably too often. I will tell you that it's a shame.
You know, so much is talked about, you know, after a shooting like this, but less obvious and obviously something that should be discussed is, you know, what types of medicine some of the shooters are on. We know this terrible story about, you know, what happened as a child to him, Congressman Steube. There's questions about whether or not he had some development issues at the time, maybe on some medicine. You know, that's not the subject, though, the left goes to. They go to the gun, not the mental status of these alleged shooters.
Yeah, progressives and liberals always want to demonize the weapon that was used and not demonize the evil and the person that perpetrated the crime. Every day in America, there are criminals that use firearms and knives and all sorts of cars. We saw what happened in Louisiana where an individual used a terrorist used a car to kill people. So it's not the weapon that's being used that should be demonized, but the left will not let a tragedy like this go by without wanting to take away your firearms and ban guns. There are tons and tons, millions, in fact, of law-abiding Americans every day who concealed carry. There's numerous instances of law-abiding Americans who have saved people's lives using a firearm, and to demonize the weapon, of course, bodes right into the left's ideology to do away with guns altogether. And I stand behind the president on that 100%.